Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your homeboy E Short, as usual, sitting in my man room, kind of like don't want to leave this place. But here we go again, another episode of the E and L Sports Talk Show. It's me and my homeboy Big Les. What's going on, Les?
Doing great, man. How you doing, man?
Doing well, man, as usual. We have to me, is a special guest because this gentleman is younger than us. He came up through the ranks of Brooklyn basketball, 5, 6 years after we did. And over the short period of time I got to know him, which I just mentioned to him, got to know him, and I'm embracing this brother into, the family, and he's a good man. So without all that banter and stuff, want to introduce to you all my brother Joe Jackson. What's going on,
All right.
Joe?
How's it going, fellas? How y'all doing?
We're
All
doing
right.
well.
Welcome.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, tell everybody about you, Joe.
All right. Before I get started, I just want to say, send out my condolences to the Greenwich family because we just lost my brother Leroy. May he rest in peace. He was a good brother, and my heart goes out to him and his family.
Okay.
All
Mhm.
right. Now,
I agree.
with that
Ditto.
being said, I'm just I'm just a kid from Brooklyn who picked up basketball at the age of 7. My uncle put a ball in my hand, and I really didn't care for the game, but I played it anyway because it kept me out of trouble. And
Mhm.
the first organized team that I played for a team called the Chiefs, and the coach was Bonnie Davis.
Okay.
And I stopped playing with the Chiefs because I got tired of getting chased home every time we went to practice. Because we was out there in Coney Island or Bensonhurst or somewhere, and every night we get chased home. So that was enough for me. So then I went to Our Lady of Victory, coach under Bob Brathwaite, and we had a biddy team in the late '70s that was no joke. That was nothing to be played with. It was myself, John Johnson, that played at Tolentine in Virginia. Gregory Jones, we call him Devil Dog, that played at the High. Brian Royal, we call him Grandpa. He went to Christ the King, and then George Mason, and a brother by the name of Keith Hardy. Then we had, people off the bench, James Majors that played at Seton Hall, Trevor Davis. I mean, we had an all-star crew at a young age.
Mhm.
And then that's when I met Mike Burrell and Leroy. They were playing midgets while we were playing biddies. But other than that, Eric, man, I was just a kid, man, that just went to school, got my education, and played basketball because it was something to do and it kept me out the streets.
I hear you. And the thing that makes it, very interesting though, is from that, very meek opinion, you had success. You know what I mean? You
I had
did
a,
well. So, let us know about, what that drive that brought you, through your career and where it led you.
man, it was actually Coach Reynolds. When I made the transition from Our Lady of Victory to Vanguard, Coach saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I just thought I was an average player because I was big. So when I learned, I was always bigger than the people that were my age when I was in public school and junior high school. So as I started to learn the game, I learned the game with my back to the basket. I was a big man. I thought I was going to be 6'7", 6'8", so I learned to play the game with my back to the basket, rebounding and whatnot. And that was me. I mean, I was what they called a slasher. I constantly moved without the ball. I mean, there wasn't a zone that I couldn't bust because I was always moving, finding the open places. But when I started playing with Coach, he started to bring stuff out of me that, like I said, I didn't know I had because I was content being a role player, but he made me a leader. He made me a leader and he brought out the aggression in me because, I mean, like I said, people would always say what they're going to do to me on the court. Oh, I'll do this to you. You're not nothing. You know, you can't guard me. And me, I'm like, I took that as a challenge. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna show you. You know, I gotta stop you when you telling me what you're gonna do to me. My question was always, why you doing all of this to me? What am I gonna be doing?
Right, exactly, exactly,
That
exactly.
was always my question. You gonna be doing all this to me? Why you doing that? What am I gonna be doing?
Right.
Yeah. But
And
that's
then
what you want to know something on Joe? And last man, one more for Gil, right? And look what he
Yeah,
did.
yeah,
He changed, he like you said, he brought out things about you that you didn't know that you had in you. But look what it did, man. It blossomed to be something very successful. And but that was the business that he was actually in. It could have been
yeah,
anything, but he was in a basketball world and he did that for all of us,
yeah,
and the connections through that and all, and I think that through all of that, I mean, it just makes it once again another success story of Gil Reynolds or Brooklyn coaches, and like I was saying, like we've experienced that, and so many people did that for us, and but that was but was that before you went to Westinghouse, or was that while you were at
yeah. That was that was
Westinghouse?
that was before I went to Westinghouse. While I was in junior high school, and we were playing, and like I said, he just brought so much out of me.
Joe, I just lost you.
The most talented person
Okay.
on any team I ever played on. I tell people
Okay.
that all the time. There was always somebody that dribbled better than me, shot better than me, jumped higher than me, but nobody that I ever played with the heart that I played with. I left it on the court every time I stepped on it. I left it on the court. And, you know, throughout those years, you know, I started to gain more and more confidence in my ability. And I played with some guards, man, that really made me look good. You know, in the summertime, I used to think that me and Gary Shears was the best backcourt in the summer. But then Coach Boyd, Jeff Legree to us, another Brownsville brother, and that is the toughest little dude I ever seen in my life.
Mhm.
And then he brought Glenn Daniels to come play with us. And then we had a short stint with Lloyd Daniels playing with us. So I was always around players that made me look good, but I did all the dirty work. You
Mhm.
know, I was in there. I was in there banging on the boards. I was in there guarding the other team's best player, no matter how big or how small he was. That was my job. I'm going to
Right.
guard the best player on the other team because that's how I actually got my name in my college scholarship because of my defense.
Right. And tell
I can
everybody where did that lead you then?
well that led me to Westinghouse, and I went to Westinghouse, and I was I was on the JV team, and Derek Powell and a brother by the name of Vince Paul, they were going. Westinghouse had a game, but we were in the gym practicing or playing, and they saw me. And for what I don't know what they saw, but they called me over to them like, yo, son, come here. And I'm like, yo, who are these dudes, man? I know I ain't took their girl, nobody's girl or nothing. So then Powell came to me, he's like, yo, you go to school here? I'm like, obviously, yeah. And it's like, yo, you ever thought about trying out for the team? I said, man, I don't think I'm good enough to play for the team. He's like, yo, I'm telling you right now, next year, you try out for the team. So my next year, when I was in the 10th grade, I tried out for the team, made the team. I was the sixth man. I became the sixth man, first dude off the bench. Um, and I played against some of the toughest people in New York City. That was the year we played Boys High early in the year. They beat us. We got them in the first round of the playoffs. We beat them. Then we ran into that buzzsaw of Canarsie with John Sally and Glenn Daniels and Marcus Miles. We ran into them. They just knocked us out. But as the years went on, and then my junior year, it was my team. My team, me and a brother named Craig Holiday.
Mhm. I know, Craig.
We called ourselves Batman and Robin. And I'll tell anybody that's the only dude that I ever played with that I'll consider being Robin to anybody. But
Okay,
you
I
know,
got you.
and then my senior year, I'm like, I'm the only one left. You know, and right before Alexander Hamilton closed, our division was Boys High, Abraham Lincoln, Alexander Hamilton, Grady, and Westinghouse.
Wow.
And I'm looking at this like, what am I gonna do? Because in my mind, I'm like, I got no help. I don't know how much. I don't know how much help I'm gonna be, but I know every night I'm gonna leave it out there. And then Hamilton closed, and the good Lord sent me Gerald Green, Warren Faulkner, Hugh Smart, 88. And I'm like, okay, we in business. We in
Mhm.
business. And that senior year, that year, all city, first team all city was 5 guards: Rod Strickland, Carlton Owens from Lincoln, Doug Harris from Jackson, Bug from the High, and
Right,
Eric Johnson.
right. That's right.
That year, that year, I played against all of them except for Rod, and we had some battles. We had some battles. I mean, you know, I gave Andrew Jackson 30 that year. Doug Harris, Boo Harvey, and them boys. I gave them 30 in the Kangaroo Classic. Um, Boys High, when they beat us in the playoffs, I gave them 30. You know, but my points, I was the type of player that when you look at the box score and you see I had 20, 25, 30, you be like, man, where they come from? How do you get that? Because I was, like I said, I was quiet, I was humble. I never talked crap on the court. I just played. I
Mhm.
just
Right.
played. And then that got me a college scholarship to Wright State University.
But let me back up for a second though. Was Westinghouse your neighborhood school?
No, Boys High was my neighborhood school.
Okay, which
So
what
how
school
did
did you
that
grow
work
up at?
out?
Where you grow up
Uh,
at? On
I
what
grew up
street?
in Bed-Stuy. I grew up on I grew up on Jefferson between Reed and Stuyvesant, and you know Utica was my train station on the A train. So Boys High was right there. Boys High was right there. So that was my zone school. But I took the test. Like I said, basketball. I really wasn't thinking that I could play high school basketball because I was into my books. So I took the test to Westinghouse. I took the test to Stuyvesant. I took this test for Brooklyn Tech, and it was another school I took the test for. But I really, for some reason, I wanted to go to Stuyvesant. Why? I don't know. But I wanted to go to Stuyvesant because, you know, of my academics. And then, like I said, I wound up at Westinghouse because my god brother and a couple of guys that lived on my block and around the corner from me went to Westinghouse. They're like, man, you come to Westinghouse, you can play, you make the team, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So when I passed the test, then that's the school I chose.
Yeah. Yo, Les, man, you know what it sounds like to me? Sounds like he's a math guy like us.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
You know,
we're
I,
math
I,
guys, man.
I used to be, not no more. I used to be, yeah. I used to be.
Oh
I,
yeah, me and Les are math guys
because
through and through,
I
man.
went to Brooklyn Tech. That's where I went to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
funny, man. You want to go to Stuyvesant? That's a tough place. My brother went there, man. That's a tough place, man. So academically, man, it's tough. They really challenge you, man.
yeah, that's
Um,
what that was where I wanted to go, but I wound up at Westinghouse,
yeah,
and it was fine. And like I said, I had a good career there at Westinghouse. And then my senior year, you know, there was a guy by the name of Hirsch that used to always hang out at the school, and he told me, he's like, you're playing like you're a big man, but you're only 6'2". He said, when you go to college, you're going to be a 2 guard, so you need to start facing the basket. So
Mhm.
that whole senior year and that summer before my freshman year in college, we worked on me facing the basket because everything I did was either moving, slashing, or my back to the basket.
right.
And then I started facing the basket. And my only regret out of my basketball career is that I didn't work on my jump shot or my ball handling like I should have. You know, that's the biggest regret. But other than that, you know, I went to Wright State. The reason I chose Wright State was because out of all the schools I visited, that was the only school where the athletes lived in apartments. I actually lived in a 2-bedroom apartment as opposed to a dorm, and that sold me. And and plus they the presentation was that I would play right away as a freshman.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you did,
know,
right?
Yeah.
I did. I felt I should have been starting because the guy in front of me, would had a bum knee. He had a brace that was as big as him, but he could shoot the lights out the ball. But I struggled with that my freshman year because I even thought about leaving. I thought about leaving Wright State, and Coach Reynolds had me ready to go to Tennessee State. He's like, son, you don't need that. You leave there, I'll take you down to Nashville. We'll get you into Tennessee State. And then I thought about it. I came home for 2 weeks and worked out. And that summer, before my sophomore year, we had a European trip. And I told Coach told me, he said, son, when you go over there when you go on that European trip, he said, you better not come back as a non-starter. You're going to be starting on that team next year. So you go out there and you show them what you got. And I went over to Europe and I balled. I'm like,
Where in Europe was that?
85, 86. And I was
So
like,
what the school went? Wright State went overseas.
Yeah, Wright State went overseas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the school went. Yeah, the school went. We had a European tour. And so that year, my sophomore year, I came back as a starter. We went 28-3 that year. We lost to Cheney State in the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. Till this day,
I know a lot about Cheney State. We lost to them a few times, man.
Yeah, I mean, them was some long brothers. They were long.
Yeah,
they were long, man, and very patient in their offense. Matter of fact, the one of the clips that I have on my social media when I'm in the white uniform and we're playing the zone and I steal the ball and I dunk it, that's against Cheney State.
Yeah, I saw. Actually, it's funny. I watched that yesterday.
Was John Cheney? Was John Cheney?
No, he wasn't the coach then. I think he was gone. John Cheney wasn't coaching them then. But we lost there, and then
John Cheney wasn't coaching. He was gone. He was at Temple then, right?
Yeah, he had left. I think he went to Temple.
He was coaching then when I was playing.
Yeah, I think he left and went in '82, Les, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then we was one game away from going to the Final Four. We lost to them. Then my junior year, we didn't even make the tournament because they brought in Johnson C. Smith from Carolina. We were 20-8 that year, and we had a crucial loss to Central State that kind of not put us in the tournament. And we felt that the only reason they didn't put us in the tournament was because we were going to Division I the next year.
Okay.
That's the way we felt. Because they brought Johnson C. Smith into the Great Lakes region, and a team they called Kentucky Westland ran them right back to North Carolina. Wow. And so then that worked out, and then we went Division I the next year. We were 16-11. We had a good year. I averaged 16 that year. And then I graduated and left. When I left Wright State in 1988, I was the school's 5th all-time leading scorer. I was never the first or second option in our offense. I got basically all my points on fast breaks and rebounds, and on my own, and broken plays. I was in the top 10 in a lot of statistical categories. And 30 years later, we're still wondering why I'm not in their Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hole that I'm in too.
Yeah. So,
I mean, but you blame the evaluation, Joe, of administrators for all those kind of decisions, man. But no matter what, and Les will attest to this, because I mean, I constantly use like what happened to him at Hartwick U, and how they respected him enough to promptly acknowledge him, you know. And that's how a university is supposed to treat their students when they have successes, whatever it is, academically or extracurricular. And Hartwick like did right by Les from the jump, you know, and it's kind of like as if they were following his career just as much as, you know, as he was following his own as well. And some universities don't care about the athlete at that level, you know,
Yeah.
and that's unfortunate, Joe, you know. But the body of work speaks for itself though, right?
Yeah, it does. That's the only thing I got to hang on is like, you know what? I played there for 4 years. I got me a free college education and a degree.
Right. That's the
You
Hall of
got
Fame in
that's it.
itself. That's the Hall
There
of
we
Fame
go.
in itself.
That's the way I look at it. I'm like, you know, I did what I did. I was the first player that they ever recruited from New York and signed. You know,
Yeah.
it served its purpose.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I've had a good career outside of once I graduated. You know, I've had a good career. I worked at Delta Airlines for 22 years before I retired in 2015.
Okay.
You know, right now I'm just doing, you know, part-time stuff at Costco, and I work at an assisted living facility doing activities for people that have dementia and Alzheimer's. So I'm fulfilled.
There you
You
go.
know,
There you
I
go.
sit
Yeah.
I sit on the board of directors for a youth organization called STARS Youth Enrichment Program. You know, I'm on the board of directors with Dale Ellis, Coach Jarvis that used to coach at St. John's, and a couple of other prominent people. So I'm giving back. So I'm you know
That's nice.
I'm still out, and I'm doing, you know, I'm doing what makes me feel good and what makes other people feel good.
Right.
Right. Okay. So, what did you major in? What was your major?
Communication, specializing in television broadcasting.
Okay. Okay.
Same
And
here. Same here.
and the funny thing is, before I graduated, I was actually working at a TV station in Dayton. And then all of a sudden,
Okay.
I went chasing the dream, tried to make the CBA and this, that, and the other. And then that got cut short. And then I went back into the workforce and never could get back into television. Then I moved to Atlanta, and I lived in Atlanta for 9 years, 8 years. And I came back to New York.
Mhm.
I came back to New York in '97.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're in New York now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 But you know, that's very funny though, Joe. Like in mentioning and responding to your comment about, you know, them not, you know, inducting you. Induction to a Hall of Fame is a recognition, you know, and it's no different than someone saying thank you.
Mhm.
That's how I look at it because it's all the recognition of an effort. So it's like, you know, someone gives you nice flowers, you know, you say, hey, thank you, you know.
Right.
And and I understand that the calmness that we all have and we move forward, you know, we don't look back, you know, it's like looking back at, you know, in the first quarter, you know, you called a tech on me, but we're now in the fourth quarter. So, you know, I mean, I'm done with that, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
but there's still a reflection of events in your life that it's wrong. I'm sorry, it's wrong. And there's too many examples in our culture of basketball of every university you could think of, Maryland, Michigan, Duke, Carolina, Vegas. They all, it's a prominent thing to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And and even when you get to the next level, the NBA, the NHL, Major League Baseball, they all have a recognition based process in place. Corporate America does. It's called bonuses, you know. You know, and evaluations, and then you get your evaluations, you know, you get a 4, you know, you get a 4-star, 5-star, then that means that I expect my raise to be you know, to mean something. And then that means that you also value me as an employee, right? So
Mhm.
what does that say? That they're not valuing the effort that you put in, but you got what you have to get out of it and you move forward. But
Mhm.
when it's time to stop for a moment and think about it, that I reflect on those things. Um and places like that, they have to change,
Yeah.
and that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I don't know the full story of Wright State, but um I'm having that problem myself. And I mean, it's funny how just between myself and Les, the comparisons of the two is what I'm reflecting on, is that
Mhm.
his university supports that process. And
Mhm.
and you and I we're
Yeah,
still
we like, okay. And and in my first year in Dayton, I was every time I turned around, I was being compared to Roosevelt Chapman, because Roosevelt Chapman came from Westinghouse and he went to the University of Dayton. So
Mm.
one day I'm in the coach's office and the coach says, you know, you need to pick a number for your uniform. So in high school, I wore number 12. So I said, okay, if you got number 12, I'll take number 12. So he says, no, we don't have 12. He said, your choices are 20, 22, and 34. So not thinking of it, I said, all right, give me 22. And boy, when they saw me in that uniform with number 22 on it, because Roosevelt Chapman wore number 22 at Dayton. And boy, the comparisons just came. And I said, listen, I appreciate the comparisons, but Roosevelt Chapman is a far more superior athlete than I am. I said, because I got tired of, we went to the same high school. We come to the same city. We weigh the same number. We come from the same neighborhood. I was getting tired of all that. I'm like, all right, he did what he did at Dayton at a Division I level. Let me do what I need to do at Wright State. And we were Division II at the time. Let me do what I need to do at Wright State and then just move on.
Yeah,
Right.
but I must interject though. In all honesty, really dead serious, man, because I live and die by this. Yo, number 22 was his choice. That was a good choice, bro, because that's my number.
I know.
That's my
I see.
daughter's number. No, I'm dead serious. I take that real serious, man. That I'm gonna live and die with that number. That
Oh,
you
me
better
too.
believe
I
that.
mean, yeah, everything that I do now is 20. Even when I got a habit, like when I was in college, when I used to sign autographs and stuff, I would always put, Joe Jackson, number 22.
Yeah, that's right.
Even till this day, when I sign a legal document, I gotta catch myself from putting down number 22.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we're not fortunate enough to be like 6'7", 6'8". So like then we would probably carry the number 33 like Big Les. But by the way, but Serious Joe, by the way though, man, you see this guy right here? Yo, do you know that this guy right here, this is Brooklyn's version, and actually, the original Rasheed Wallace. I am
Okay.
not kidding you. The same skill sets and everything. Look at him. Look at him, Modest Les, man.
Okay.
No, for
I
real.
mean,
But that's the big
I
33
know the
though.
legend. I know the legend. I just didn't know the person. I know the legend.
Yeah, and it's but it's weird because the number really does mean something, don't it, Les? You know, because I know all my career is 22, and I know you, Les, more 33 your whole career, right? Or you froze out on
Me?
me, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I wore 33 all through college. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And that number means something, man.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And all the
my high
people
school wasn't memorable.
and all the people that I see at Wright State that wear 22 after me, I'm like, you don't wear it like I did.
I say the same thing when I see a 33 at my school. Yeah,
It just doesn't look right, right?
You
yeah.
didn't wear that like you didn't wear that like I did.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. The first year after I graduated, I see this cat with number 33 on. So I called the coach and said, yo, who's this motherfucker wearing my number? Coach told him that he changed his number, man. Oh, oh
I don't
shit.
have no problem with Big Les.
So I guess y'all.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. But let me kind of change a bit and
Mhm.
um And a lot, I mean, the changes, like in a more somber type of conversation, and that's
Sure.
about your friendship with Leroy, man.
Mm.
I know for me, I don't think that I would know you as a man unless it was for Leroy.
Right, right.
And so, what kind of relationship did you have with that brother?
Man, it was ever since we were small, we just kind of connected. And back then, he had family in Brevoort. So he used to always be in Brevoort. And, when we played at Victory, we had a lot of people that played in the Coliseum.
Mhm.
And, we would always hang out and whatnot. And then, we lost contact for a while when we went to junior high school and all that. But then when he went to Wingate and I wound up at Weston House, then we reconnected because here come the trash talking, and he can talk trash with the best of them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was always, again, what he gonna do to me, and this, that, the other. I'm like, okay, but again, why you doing it to me? What am I gonna be doing? Because I'm not gonna be standing still. You gonna know I've been there.
Yo, Les, that's
And
those Wingate guys, man. That's what they
yeah,
do.
I'm
Yeah.
like, you gonna know I've been there. And we go back, but like I said, and then when I was at Wright State and he was at Xavier, um, he would drive down to Wright State and come hang out with me and
Mm.
whatnot. And my teammates loved him because, back then, he used to smoke a little weed. And they used to call him the weed man. Hey, Joe, when your homeboy coming back down here? I'm like, he ain't coming back. He ain't coming back. No. And then when we went Division 1, we played Xavier, and he was already gone. But Dexter Campbell was on the team, and
Right.
Yep, big Dex.
Tyrone Hill, they were all on the team. Byron Larkin, and he told him, he called me. He said, "Yo," he said, my nickname is Booby." So he's like, "Yo, Boo, I told these motherfuckers you coming. I told them you coming. They better be ready. I told him you coming. So yo, my boy from Brooklyn, he coming to serve y'all, coming to bust your ass." And I'm like, come on, man. But when we went up there, we wound up losing the game, but I gave him 22.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there you
You know,
go.
I gave him 22, but we wound up losing the game by 3. But he wasn't at the game. So after the game, all these dudes, all of them came, a lot of them dudes came up to me, was like, "Man, I'm so glad this game is over because Leroy would not shut up talking about you. I'm glad we got it out the way."
He's
And I'm like,
looking
"Man,
out for his homeboy, man.
yeah." He's like,
Yep,
"Man,
yep.
we got so tired of him talking about you, man. I'm glad it's over." And Big Dexter all quiet. Dexter's like, "I knew it was coming." He said,
Uh-huh.
"I knew it was coming." But yeah, I mean, and then fast forward, we stayed in touch even when I moved back to New York, and then right when the pandemic hit, we would call and check on each other. And then, I was going through some real personal stuff. I lost my mother.
Mm.
Was going through some stuff, and then, he called, would check up on me, and then that's when I guess one day he was talking to you, E, and then you called me, and that's how we connected and whatnot. And then I found out, he told me that he was having trouble with diabetes. So, I would always call him and just check on him. And then he told me they had to take one of his legs.
Mhm.
And, but he was always in good spirits. I'm like, man, yo, I don't know. That's a tough one. He like, "Boo, man, don't worry about it. I'm gonna be all right, man. I'm gonna beat this. I'm gonna beat this." And then there was a spell where I would text him, call him, got no response, couldn't leave a message. Um, and then I guess Eric, you was doing the same thing, and then you
Right.
called me, and I'm like, listen, I don't know what's going on with him. And then finally, he called me back, and then he told me they had to take his other leg, and then he said that he was having problems with his heart, that he had to have a valve put in his heart, and he was waiting to be transported to the Cleveland Clinic to get that done. And you know,
And that
I
was the
just told him,
same, and that was the same week that they had that problem at the Cleveland Clinic.
yeah, yeah. So, I just kept him in prayer, man, would text him. I knew a lot of times he wouldn't be up to talking. So we text back and forth. And, he kept saying, man, don't worry, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to be all right.
You unmute yourself, Joe. Hey, Joe, unmute yourself. I can't hear you, Joe.
So start and prepare to learn how to walk.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, all last week in my mind, I kept saying, I need to call him. I need to call him. I'm like, yo, I ain't talked to Leroy in a while. I need to call him. And then Les, you called me. I mean, Eric, you called me and was like, is it true? And then I'm like, I don't know. Let me call you right back. Let me make a call. I made the call and they was like, yeah, man, our brother transitioned this morning. And then that's when I hit you back. And I mean, I haven't been right since.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Same
haven't
to
been
me.
right since.
Yeah. Well, for me, Joe, I mean, I Les can attest to this because he's probably going through the same thing. We had a close friend of ours pass away, like it was like a week and a half prior. Donald McAllister, who played with Vinny at FDR, and he played with us and everywhere. He's one of the family, and um I mean, between them two, man, I really haven't been right, man. I'm serious, man. I mean, it hurt me in the core because when Ballside Middle brought us all together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Leroy hits me up and he's like, yo, he's short, he's like, you were my counselor back in the day at Brooklyn, USA, man, at the camp, man. And he was like reeling on me, man. And it's like he looked up to me in that sense back then. I mean, we're all grown men now, but at but him acknowledging that and saying that, I don't know how he took it and what it meant to him, but for me, especially since my health has been bad and blah blah blah, when I hear stuff like that from people, which I've been hearing a lot of that, it takes me
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, and Les and I, we talk about it all the time, right, Les? I mean,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
definitely.
So when Don passed away, man, I was telling my wife, man, I'm not handling this right. I mean, honestly, that I was under the impression that for me, and I'm telling you guys honest truth, Les, you it's the first time you're in, is that I thought I need to talk to somebody, man, because I was having a hard time, man. And then when that Leroy happened, I fell off the wagon, man, big time, man. And um, because both of them were good brothers, man, and may they both rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
It meant a lot. The relationship that I had with both of them,
Yeah.
and Les went to school with Don. They went to Hartwick together. So, um, I mean, it's hard, man. It really is, man. So you doing okay now, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I'm gonna do my best to make it to his services next week. Um, I thought it would be in Brooklyn, but it's up in the Bronx, and I ain't too fond of the Bronx, but I'm gonna go there to I'm gonna go there to I'm gonna try to do my best to make it to show my brother some love one last time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hear you.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's pretty tough, man. And I think that over the course of the past, couple of years, man, we've been, losing a lot of people that we all, grew to be friends, competitors with. And it has like an impact on you, because we're all
Yeah.
running that same race. And um, like I said before, man, I feel for his family and may he rest
Yeah.
in peace, man. And
Yep,
so we
absolutely.
fight through it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, because
Yep.
for me, within the last year, maybe a year and a half, I've lost three of my good basketball friends. 88 was one of my best friends. When we lost him, I lost another brother, Ernest Gay, that played at South Shore. Um, I had just talked to that dude on Friday. We was talking, and we talked for a good hour. And every time we talk, he liked to always reminisce in the days when we were in junior high school with me, him, 88 Gary, when we all played on the same junior high school team and we were undefeated. And, we went all that and we talked about, fake people in the church. We talked about some of everything.
Mhm.
He was my youngest sister's first boyfriend. He was with me when I met this young lady that I used to mess with. That's how close we were. And then for Gary to text me that Sunday and said that he passed away at a bus stop, sitting at a bus stop.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. I just talked to this dude.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, he left the house and was at the bus stop, and they said he was half frozen.
Wow.
So I was like, wow.
Wow. And they're really weird experiences. Like another one of our homeboys, like, and it's weird because he's Craig Booth, the director, Craig from the documentary, his cousin, Wayne Mackey, who is the head of NFL referees. And I think he gets
Wow.
promoted. He goes back to the hotel, has a massive heart attack, and dies. I mean, to some degree, I guess that's what happened, And the same thing with Cleveland Woods. I didn't know
Yeah, that's
anything
another one.
about this guy,
There was another
and
one.
I hear that he was like one of the best big men, of his age group, after us. And so
Yes,
I got
sir.
to know him because of Ball Side Middle, and I
Mhm.
called him and we talked. It was like, love what you guys are doing. I used to look up to all y'all. And then 2 weeks later, he passes away. I am
Wow.
not lying. I
Yeah,
could not believe it, man. I started crying like a baby, man, because I couldn't
yeah.
believe that happened, man. Because who you remind me of, Les? You kind of remind me of talking to Charles Wickfall. Me and Charles go way back, man. So I was like, it was kind of hurtful, and I never
Mhm.
face to face met this guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Big
So
Cleveland. Big Cleve was a gentle giant, man, but can ball. I've seen him and Big John Harris have some battles.
Mm.
and Big
Yeah.
John's a big boy.
Yeah, him and Big John had some battles I used to see. I was like, man, I want to get in between them two.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Big John, Les, man.
Yeah,
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 we
yeah.
did Big John and Men and Nero, right?
I did all that.
Yeah.
Him and it, but it's weird. Big John and his brother Eric, they grew up around the corner from me, man. So they used to look up to me because they were
Mm.
like 5 years, 6 years younger than me, man. So I mean
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
about
nice,
that.
man,
Yeah.
that we had that camaraderie and have the respect for each other generationally.
Mhm.
But this COVID period has really, pushed us into, I mean, into that world of people of being at that age group where people start passing away. It's like
Mhm.
trial by fire type or education by fire of dealing with being a senior citizen.
Mhm.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, but just to be able to still be here and talk about it means something,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's been tough, man. It really has been, man. And I think that once again, the Ball Side Middle process of bringing us all together kind of makes it a little easier to deal with because you get to share it with guys that you have common interests with,
Yeah.
and then there's too many, to think of because I'm pretty sure like one of our other homeboys that's real close to me and Les, that's a Westinghouse guy, man, Phil Seymour, you know,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
Phil is like, Westinghouse legend,
Yeah.
before you
Yeah.
guys. And
Right. Phil
um,
Seymour. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
like I said, when I first saw the documentary, I was like, I was in awe because I'm like, here I am at the time, a young kid that was in the middle of such deep, rich basketball history that
Mhm.
I eventually became a part of, but didn't really know. A lot of the people that were in the documentary I knew of,
Mhm.
you know, and then some I knew personally, because Coach Haskins has always been one of my biggest supporters. No matter whenever he saw me, where he saw me, if he see me play, he'll sit down with me after the game and critique me or give me constructive criticism and whatnot. And, of course, Coach Reynolds is, man, he made me the man I am today. And I just didn't realize that rich history that Brooklyn basketball really had, and especially in the 80s when I became a part of it. I mean, in my high school years from 81 to 84, I've had to guard Pearl Washington, Rod Strickland, Spice Kilpatrick, Eric Johnson, Bud Davender, who else? Boo Harvey, Mark Jackson. I mean, at any given time when I stepped on the court, whether it was in the PSAL or in a summer league, I gotta guard one of the top players in the city.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Tell the truth.
Okay.
Did you do work against them?
Every last one of them.
He didn't even hestitate. I like that. He didn't hesitate.
But the thing is, though, I was still trying to make a name for myself. I was still trying to make a name for myself. But like I said, I took pride in guarding those guys. And I tell people all the time, and people always get on me about it, like, man, I wouldn't tell this story. But Pearl Washington is the only dude to really, really embarrass me on the court. And this is what he did to me. We're playing Boys High on a Friday night. First time my pops ever came to a high school game to see me play. My mother would always be at the game, but the first time my pops came, I come off the bench. We're playing a boxing one, so I got to guard Pearl. I'm denying him the ball. Elmer gets him the ball. Pearl shakes me to the floor, goes by me, wait for me to get up, get back in front of him just to do it all over again. And all you heard was, ooh,
ooh,
and I'm like, I don't believe this man is just, but he was, but he did it to everybody. I wasn't the only one.
Right.
Oh yeah,
right.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
To everybody. So I didn't feel bad, but people like, man, you should tell that story. But I'm like, you know what? If I always felt, especially when I got to college, if I can guard Pearl Washington, there ain't a motherfucker on this earth I can't guard.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. But I want to tell you though, Joe, and I understand your feeling about those guys. You mentioned them, and you mentioned them with a sense of saying that they were the players that were in the top of their game. And let me explain something to you, man. And this is from a player standpoint, not from the way the world evaluates players. Some guys go to Duke and are looked at, they give them the crown. People are kissing their rings. Understand this, on the basketball court, when you get on the court and you do work, that lasts longer than the stats of Wright State. When we were playing in high school and at that level, somebody got a great opportunity and you had an average opportunity, let's just say, that's no different than somebody got the opportunity to date Holly Berry and some people had an opportunity to date Shanae, so but different things happen in your space. And if you did, because I always say that, and even then when Boarheads interviewed me, and I told him, I said, and I'm not lying. There is absolutely nobody that did work on me when I was playing in those days. And Les can say the same thing. Les isn't that kind of talker, but I know because I played with him and I've seen it. And so just because Rasheed Walker got that opportunity, shoot, Les Miller, the hell with that, as far as I'm concerned. So from a player standpoint, you were in their category. That's why you were out there playing and that's why you did work. So don't discount what you did. Other than the fact that you did well at that level, just like they did.
Yep.
And I don't discount it. I just don't like to really granted, in my mind, yeah, I knew I was good. Was I better than some of them? that depends on who you ask.
Right.
But I mean, but just know, but every last one of them can tell you when they saw Westinghouse on the schedule, they knew
What they had to
that
deal with.
it wasn't going to be. They knew what was in store for them. They knew
Yep.
every point they got, they was gonna have to earn it.
Yep.
They knew it.
That's
Because
right.
And especially
know,
because you were a two-sided player when you had offense as well as you could play D. So it's like, you're not going, this is the kind of guy that's not going away,
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And I've had all of my best games, especially in college, was when I had to defend somebody that was supposed to be the man for the other team.
Somebody with a
You
bigger
know,
name. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, we played we played IUPUI one year, Indiana University, whatever it's called. But they had a guard at the time. He was the 9th leading scorer in the nation. So now all week long, I'm hearing, "What you gonna do with him? What you gonna do with him?" I'm like, "Yo, he got to guard me just like I got to guard him."
Hmm.
So we played a boxing one. We played a boxing one. And to make a long story short, at the end of the game, he had 10 points. I had 33.
Enough said.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's still, and it's funny because when as an evaluator or analyst of the game, when you see somebody who has success, you put them in a certain tier. And, sometimes those things get lost in the sauce though. And it sounds to me that there are times where, your tier should have been elevated. But like I said, you have, 100, beauty contestants. There's only going to be one Miss America.
Yep.
No matter what you say, no matter what anybody says, it's only going to be one person holding at the end, holding that trophy or standing on that podium. So, and I discount that because as a competitor, we're on the field of play, and that's the only thing that matters. If you made it to the dance, then you dancing.
Right. And I always tell, I always just tell people, listen, man, while y'all always talking about what these people are gonna do to me, that man put his pants on the same way I do, one leg at a time.
Yeah, yeah. And I give you another example. Just this, it's like similarly to our experiences. Les and I played for George Merton, which is Gil Reynolds' counterpart. And we went to Harlem against Artie Green and David Britton and Mikey Edwards. And, and these are all guys that made the NBA. Mikey played with the Doc at Philly, and we all know the legend of, some of these guys. But we went there and destroyed them. Honestly, straight up forward, destroyed them. And they still are revered. Even though somebody came from Brooklyn and did that, that shoveled under the rug, and they're still talking about their legends of Harlem. And I get it. I'm not disrespecting them. Some of those, I know those guys. But we went there and showed true to what we were capable of doing. I don't see anybody in Harlem saying them Restoration Flyers, George Merton, Brooklyn guys. They're not doing that, So they're going to always favor, I guess, the home team type of mentality. No matter what, man. Giant fans are Giant fans.
Exactly.
That might be a bad example. I'm sorry.
And I gotta, I just thought about one person that I have to give his props to that helped shape my basketball playing ability. And that's a gentleman by the name of Tony Noel.
Wow.
Tony Noel.
Wow. Yo, Tony, that's our homeboy.
Tony, man.
Are you serious?
He was left-handed and quick as I don't know what. But he used to come pick me up when he was living on Lincoln. He used to come pick me up, take me to any park, any gym, and he would work me out. He was the one that taught me the in and out crossover move, and he made me the on the ball defender that I became because he was left-handed and he was quick. And I always had, I had trouble in the beginning staying in front of him. And whenever we would play one-on-one, he would always hit me with his first step. And then I was like, okay,
Mm.
that's good. But then I went to my strength. I would back him down. But Tony Noel, by far, between him and Coach Reynolds, by far, shaped me into the player that I became.
Yeah,
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention his name.
yeah, Tony.
Tony's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he goes way back with us, man. We used to.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just on the phone with Tony last week. Man, I was talking to Tony.
I spoke to him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, we go way back with him because he's like a disciple. He worked under Gil, and because Tony wasn't like he didn't turn out to be a great basketball player, but he was learning, man. He was learning the craft of the game.
He had a great basketball mind.
He did.
Yeah.
Definitely had a great basketball mind. Yes, and man,
And but this is the thing about Tony, Joe. It's like a lot of people could have a great basketball mind, but Tony went and took it and said he started helping like the players around him. I mean, honestly, and like look at the commitment that he put in with you. Tony's always been that kind of guy, man. Like I said, I just got off the phone with him like a week ago, and conversations are always long.
Yeah.
Because we start talking about basketball and all hell breaks loose. And so,
and then did he tell you about the kids that he's coaching now that can't play a lick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to one of their practices soon because he wants me to go work a couple of kids out, so I'm gonna go do that.
Because he's not that far away from you, right, Les?
Right. And they don't have a home court, right? They're right on Route 1, but when they practice at Mercer County Community College, so that's right here by me. So I'm gonna go check him out one day. I'm gonna surprise him and just walk in there.
Every time I talk to him, he always tell me, he's like, Joe, these kids cannot comprehend some of the stuff I'm telling them, but he keeps at it. So I'm like, I commend you for keeping at it, because after all these years, man, and like I said, that dude, man, and every time we talk, I always tell him, he'd be like, Joe, I didn't know that. I always tell him the impact that he had on me as a player and as a friend and as a matter of fact, my mentor.
Right.
My mentor. And I think he just lost his nephew not too long ago.
Okay.
He just lost his nephew not too long ago. And when I found out about it, I wasn't sure if the kid's mother was his sister or his cousin. So I called me like, no, that's my sister. That's my nephew. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just calling, give you guys my condolences and whatnot. And then we went into a little stint about basketball, and then one of his sisters came in and he's like, all right, Joe, I got to go. I was like, because we'd have been on the phone another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Tony he's a good man, and he's a good resource, like just to like give a balance, because he speaks of like just the common part of the game, the thing that makes it simple. So he's not going to be like a fanfare kind of guy who's, this guy's the best guard ever. And no. He's like, he looks at people's work ethic and other things other than normal. It's kind of like a calmer, nicer version of Gil Reynolds.
Exactly. Exactly.
A mini me.
Exactly. He was the good cop. Gil was the bad cop.
Right, exactly. But Tony was up here. Like we go and play places. We used to travel around. Like we get in the car, like meet at Wingate, and it'd be like what, like 10 of us, right, Les? And we'd go to Long Island and was playing. And Tony used to always like, hang out with us. And we'd go there as a crew and we'd go and take on people, man. And that's how we met Smooth, right, Les?
That's right.
Yeah, that's how we met Smooth in Long Island, man. So yeah, Tony's a good man, man. I tell you, man. But listen, Joe, man, it's been an incredible conversation with you today.
I appreciate it.
We have always been thinking about trying to cover as many players from our era as possible, and to give love to the guys that were younger than us, because it seems like a lot of times that we're covering guys that played in the early part of that era. But we're going to balance it out. And but we're real appreciative of you being here and sharing your story and your accomplishments and the things that you've experienced during your career. Les, you got anything to add with that? Les?
Yeah.
Yo, Les, you got
it's been a
anything to add to
pleasure.
that?
It's been a pleasure to meet you, brother, and to hear about your
Yeah.
journey. You know, proud of you. Kudos, for sure.
Thank you, man. Same here. Like I said, I knew I knew the legend of Les Miller. I'm glad I finally got to meet the man. And Eric, thank you for being there. To talk to me when I was feeling kind of low, and and I'll never forget that, man. And kudos to you brothers for putting ball side middle together.
Yeah, I appreciate
Yeah.
that, man. And this is what teammates do. I mean, it sounds corny. It sounds like really like sounds like bullshit, to be quite honest with you. But if everybody that knows me, everybody that knows Les, everybody knows Craig Booth, that our hearts are in the right place, man, because of what we all went through. And I'm not turning my back on that process. So that's why I really push to try to get you in. And like once again, I want to thank you for showing up to the show and sharing your story, my brother. Okay.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you guys.
All
All
right.
right, man. Have a
So,
good day.
yeah,
You do the
everybody.
same, man.
Once again, this is the ENL Talk Show coming to you from my man room. Me and Les. We'll see you guys on the other side. Take care.
All right.
Peace.